there, for anybody that's just casual, that's just tuning in and trying to figure out why this is a big deal, what makes the Ryder Cup specifically so special?
The Ryder Cup is kind of golf's equivalent of an SEC tailgate. I mean, it is wild, it is raucous. Every single thing that you think about golf, about being too uptight, about having bad uniforms, about being dorky, the Ryder Cup blows that all out of the water. What it is, 12 players from the United States playing the 12 best players from Europe in a series of matches. Some of them are pairs, some of them are head-to-head, goes over the course of 3 days from Friday to Sunday, and it is the most raucous, ridiculous environment you will see in golf. For all the calm and pleasant nature of Augusta National, this is just like WrestleMania with fans screaming at players, players screaming at fans, beer everywhere. It's seriously, I'm glad we don't do it every weekend because I don't think that most golf courses can handle it. But once every 2 years, it is absolutely an exceptional event.
I always tell people who aren't into golf, Ryder Cup and Waste Management Open. Those are made for you, for the two events made for the non-golf fans out there. But it's been 2 years since the U.S. lost in Rome. But since then, the last 2 years, we've seen Scottie Scheffler emerge as one of the best, if not the best players in the world. What does this Ryder Cup mean for Scottie Scheffler?
Yeah, it's a chance for him to really establish himself as one of the greats of all time. I mean, the strange thing about the Ryder Cup is that it's a different style of golf. It's match play where you're playing hole by hole rather than stroke play, where you total up all of your scores over the course of an entire round. So it's a little bit of a different style of playing. But if Scottie can demonstrate his mastery of this form, the way that he's demonstrated the mastery of every single other kind of golf up to this point, that's when he starts vaulting out of the best of his generation, and that's when he starts moving up into the all-time legendary golfer status. And I think that having a big Ryder Cup, having a big Ryder Cup win could go a long way toward that.
All right, so take Scottie out of the equation. Give me another American golfer that everybody should have their eyes on that they need to come up big for this one.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of guys here that may not be as well known because they've done things exceptionally well on a kind of out of the blue, like J.J. Spawn, who came out of nowhere to win the U.S. Open, but has actually been playing some surprisingly good golf. Guys like Russell Henley and Harris English. But the one that you really want to pay attention to is Justin Thomas. He was a captain's pick, which means that the captain he didn't play his way in on his own merits. The captain decided that he needed him for a locker room presence. Justin Thomas is the kind of guy that can absolutely fire up a crowd. He's one of the guys that's been shotgunning beers at the first tee with fans when he's not playing. So if he is feeling good, then things are looking really good for the U.S. team. If he gets to feeling bad, he can kind of drag the team down with him. But he's kind of the fulcrum. He's the locker room guy. He's the locker room presence that you want to have on the team. And so if JT is feeling good, it's going to be good times for the U.S.
You had me at shotgunning beers. I mean, that's all you needed to say. And I was
it
suddenly,
was
okay.
Dude, it was ridiculous. He stood there in front of this entire arena and he starts shotgunning beers while his teammates are playing. I mean, it's just like, again, all of the cliches, which are mostly true about golfers, this event kind of blows them out of the water.
So what kind of fireworks could we get between Rory and Bryson? Maybe personality fireworks, just fireworks in general.
I mean, I'm hoping for a wrestling match right there on the 18th green. I mean, that would be tremendous. But I would take Bryson in that one, by the way. Rory, better golfer. Bryson, better wrestler. That's the thing. That's what makes it so interesting is Rory is the kind of player who is one of the most technically accomplished players in the entire sport, in the history of the sport. But Bryson, he's a social media hurricane, and his game is kind of finally matching up to his mouth, which is really impressive. I still think that Rory is the better player from tee to green and on the green, but Bryson is really coming on strong. And Bryson has this tendency to really just annoy people. He loves to get under their skin. He loves to talk. He loves to needle. He loves to have fun. He's a social media dude. He's a YouTube guy. And so he's got this constant stream of patter going. And that doesn't always sit so well with people, especially like Rory McIlroy, who like to stay in their own world. So I hope these two are matched up on Sundays. They have head-to-head matches. All 12 players from each team match up with one other guy from the other team. And I'm hoping that Rory and Bryson will be matched up.
Before I move to the European side, I want to get your thoughts on Keegan Bradley, Team USA captain. What makes him uniquely positioned to have that role and be captain? And what does he need to do to get the most out of Team USA?
Yeah, what's interesting is that mostly Ryder Cup captains in the past have been guys that are a little bit past their playing time. They might be in their 40s or their 50s or their 60s, and they're not really a part of the core that's playing on the team. They're a little bit removed from them. They're kind of a generation before them. Keegan Bradley was playing, not only is he a member of this generation, he was playing so well that he almost made the Ryder Cup team. He was in line to make the team himself on his own playing merits. Now he decided for the good of the team to pull himself out, and not Keegan Bradley, the captain, did not pick Keegan Bradley, the player, which in retrospect was probably a wise move. It would have been really cool to see, but in terms of the greater health of the team, what he can do is exactly that. He said, I sacrificed my dream. It's been my dream to play in the Ryder Cup. I sacrificed that dream to play for this team. I want you to put your personal needs and your personal ambitions to the side and work for the good of the team. And so far, it seems to have really worked. That decision not to pick himself, to bring another player onto the team, seemed to really work well in terms of motivating the team. And we'll have to see how well it works once the tee shots start on Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking at this European team, they're returning 11 of their 12 players from 2023 in Rome. Team USA, however, only returning 6. How much of an advantage does that give Team Europe? Is that continuity going to maybe rear its ugly head in the Ryder Cup?
Yeah, I think it very much could. I mean, this is the team that Luke Donald put together in 2023 and just absolutely dominated in Rome. It was just a really well-crafted team, well put together from beginning to end, from number 1 to number 12, and they worked together as a unit. That's the big knock on the U.S. is that the U.S. is a collection of talented individuals. Europe is a unit, is a group that works as a team. And unfortunately for the U.S., there's a lot of truth to that. The way that Europe tends to approach the Ryder Cup is a lot different from the way that the U.S. does. And the way that this team works together is that they are much more connected, even though they cross different nationalities, they come from different locales. They seem to be able to put their own personal needs aside and work together as a team. And yeah, having the same 11 of the same guys, and then the other one was a twin of the other player in 2023, Nikolai and Rasmus Højgaard. That lends a kind of continuity that's almost unseen and almost unheard of in the Ryder Cup. So this European team is going to be very, very tough to beat. Generally, the home field has a huge advantage and about the crowds, and I'm sure we'll talk about that in a minute. But in this case, this is a European team that could very well step into Bethpage Black and win it right out from under the U.S.
All right, Busby, make me smart. So when I'm sitting in a bar and this is on, right, and somebody from the European side comes up, I want to be able to be like, oh, man, this guy that scares me. Who's the person like, and then everybody be like, yeah, he knows what he's talking about. Give it to me.
From the European side, that would be big shot Bob MacIntyre. He has not won a major yet, but he's come very, very close, and he has this kind of demeanor to him that is absolutely unflappable. I mean, he goes, not only that, he goes and we'll give it right back. I think that we're going to see this guy going straight back at the galleries, because the galleries will just rip every single player, and you'll find out really fast who can handle it and who can't. I mean, there have been cases of European players who get absolutely just overwhelmed by the gallery and they start missing putts. And what happens then is that the gallery will start cheering, which, you generally don't cheer for someone to miss a putt except in the Ryder Cup. So, but MacIntyre is the kind of guy that can stand up to that. He can give it right back in the same way that McIlroy does. And I think that he's going to be the guy to keep an eye on. And if he plays well, the European team is going to roll.
But the one advantage that the U.S. has is it is on U.S. soil. This will be taking place in New York. I think New York sports fans are still drunk from the U.S. Open. They still have honey juices in their system. Probably going to have a couple of drinks when they're on the course at Bethpage. So what kind of advantage does that give the U.S. having this event happen on U.S. soil with some rowdy New Yorkers in attendance?
It is a tremendous, tremendous advantage. The home team has almost always won going back most of this century. The home team has almost won. And it's largely because of the crowd, because the gallery is so loud and because they're so raucous. You're going to hear a million USA, USA. And then what will happen is they'll find something about every single player. I mean, these are New Yorkers, they know what they're doing. They're already combing through their research now. They're trying to find out, whose grandfather did something horrible, and they can scream that out at them. And so they will do their research, and they will be able to take on these European players. They'll figure ways to get beneath their armor. And so that's what you're going to see. And there was a lot of question, a lot of concern about that, because, no disrespect to New York fans, but they are New York fans. There was a lot of concern that this was just going to turn into absolute anarchy, like hockey bleacher fights out on a golf course. So the ticket prices to get in are hugely expensive. I mean, they were starting at like $750 face value. And the idea, the thinking was, the kind of conspiracy thinking was, they priced them that high to keep the kind of bleacher bums out of this. Now, I'm not sure how well that's going to work or not, but anybody that is there is going to be not only likely to be loud and obnoxious, they are expected to be.
I want to go back to something you were talking about with Keegan and the decision to be a captain. So much as saying, well, you can't captain and play. Just why? If you're a capable player and a good enough player, what is it about being a captain that takes so much away from you that you can't also play?
So much of the Ryder Cup is psychology. I mean, yes, you're right. If everybody plays to their abilities, then the Ryder Cup is a walk. Then the U.S. is able to go and just absolutely take out Europe, no problem. The U.S. has more talented players across the board. But so much of it is psychology, the ability to understand who's playing well and who's not playing well. Because what happens is there are 4 separate sessions, and each session, team sessions, and each session is a pairing. So you've got to decide if player A and player B are getting along, if player A is supporting player B, or if player B is undercutting player A. You've got to have a real read on that. And there's so many moving parts at once. It's not, it would be great if it was as simple as, all right, everybody go out and play your best, but it's not. It's a lot trickier than that. And so Bradley is able, in a position now where he can go and analyze these things in real time and decide what the best pairings are, what the best matchups are, who's going to work well. And there's just so many little elements to it that I wish I myself had went on record saying I wanted him to play because I thought it would be really cool. But in retrospect, it's probably better that he has as a more overall picture of the entire U.S. team and is able to deploy his assets that way.
All right, give it to us. The important question: who's lifting the Ryder Cup trophy?
I'm going Team USA, but it is going to be very, very, very close. I will say they win 15.5 to 12.5. So I think that's where we're going. But it's going to be nerve-wracking. It's going to come down to the last few matches on Sunday. It's not going to be as easy as I think the U.S. would like it to be.
I don't know, Busby. I think like home soil makes me think of the Olympics, like in the 80s, like the gymnast that goes out and does the vault and lands the perfect 10. Like, is there somebody that's going to have what was it, like perfect 10 moment? Gymnast comes off the vault, perfect 10 moment. Who's going to have that? Who has the big
I would
moment?
love that. I would love that. I would love to see Scottie Scheffler just ascend to the level of golf legends by doing something like that. I think he'll probably be out a little earlier on Sunday, but I would love to see Scottie Scheffler because I'm all in on the Scottie Scheffler dynasty. I want to see him win everything. I want to see him start to get into the legitimate Tiger Woods conversation, and this would be a great way to do it.